no, I haven't got them, but I know a man who has, and I'll get them for you tomorrow. And then somebody would say, do you do prawns? Do you do lamb legs? Or do you do rice? Or do you do packaging? And I'd say, no worries, I'll get it for you tomorrow. People went to all these foreign destinations. The food they tasted, they were saying, well, where can we get this and where can we get that? And it made absolute sense to me. I had a little bet with the brothers. We had 2 tills already, and I put the 3rd till. And I said, this till here, if the money that I take in this outperforms the 2 that you've got, we're going to move into that area.
Wow. Amjad, welcome. I have to say that you're one of the most inspirational Bradford business people. So thank you so much for making time for us today. I know you're jetting around all over. So we've been swapping messages on LinkedIn. I bet you're like, oh, Pete Mills has popped up again. But I am so grateful that we were able to record your story in this year of City of Culture, hear about business, family, and your views on Bradford and the world. And we'll get into that. But I think knowing you as a person and knowing, lucky enough to know Saj, and family is a key part of your life. And maybe that's a great place we start. So tell us about mum and dad.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for having me. And as a proud Bradfordian, I'm really thrilled that you, Pete, are doing this because I think this is something tangible. It will remain, I think, as an institutional memory for Bradford for the year of the culture. Yeah. So thank you for taking that initiative, and I'm honoured that you've invited me here. Mum and Dad, well, my father is 102, still kicking. He was in the British India Army, so service in Burma. He's got loads of medals, so God bless her, the Queen, before she passed away. He was 100, so he got a special card from Her Majesty. He moved to Bradford. He originally came to London.
Okay.
But when the kids came here back in 1969, Bradford at that time was the epicenter of entrepreneurialism, job opportunities, etc., etc. So can you imagine somebody moving from London to Bradford thinking, right, there's better opportunity for my children here, by God.
And that was his mindset. We need to get out of London. We need to get to Bradford because there's more opportunity.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly, and that's what he did. And obviously, my elder brother and myself, who first came here, I've lived in Bradford since 1969. Mm-hmm. My mum, sadly, she passed away in COVID at the age of 85. She came from rural Punjab, not a very educated person in terms of going to university or anything like that. But if there's anybody that I admire, that I take the values from, very, very strong in terms of leadership, in terms of keeping the family together, had amazing foresight in terms of bravery. So I think I lean a lot more towards my mother's side than I do on my father's side. My father's more of a quiet person. So I have 5 brothers and 1 sister who all are in Bradford. And together, obviously, as you know, we've kind of got educated here, lived here, created the environment that was here, used the environment to create the business that we have. And hopefully, as we took from the city, we contributed and continue to contribute. Because, you just can't simply take from society. You've got to give back.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where the family is. We're more of now contributing back to society, and particularly Bradford.
Yeah. So Dad came up here with Mum and you guys, 1969.
Yeah.
And I've had a little insight to your story because you want to share it with me, which is really inspiring. So you did break from the mold, didn't you, from your brothers? In that you went. Did you go to university in London?
Yeah. It was the Polytechnic. They were then the Polytechnics. Yeah. So originally I wanted to do law. For some reason, most Asian kids were told to either become doctors, dentists, engineers, or accountants. I didn't particularly, wanted to do those kind of analytical kind of stuff. I was a very kind of outward, extrovert kind of type of person.
Yeah.
But then I used to do a part-time job on Godwin Street. There used to be a company called IGI Furniture. There's a man, Ismail Sab, amazing entrepreneur. I was so fortunate to be mentored by him. I worked there, and then the last minute, I got actually accepted at Newcastle University to do a degree in law.
Wow.
But then decided after actually working with him that, I want to go into something to do with business. So I took up business studies at the Huddersfield Polytechnic and majored in marketing, and I think graduated around about 2004.
Oh wow! So you went back and did that. Yeah. So what was the? There was a draw, wasn't there, in terms of you starting your own business, but family had a role in that. That's a leading question, Your Honour, isn't it?
Yeah. So actually, when I left, I was fortunate enough to work at Yorkshire Building Society as an assistant marketing manager.
Right.
And even as an assistant manager, I had the privilege of working with some of the top kind of marketing people in the banking and the building society. The world. So I had my own staff, I had my own marketing budget, I was given my own car, so sort of moving up the chain. And then one day my father sat me down and said, all of you are going in your different directions. You're the one who's done business studies, and I think you should break the mold and create a family business. And to be honest with you, Pete, I kind of, in the back of my mind, I always wanted to do something on my own. That was my kind of extrovertness and stuff like that. But I'm glad that I worked at Yorkshire Building Society, because what that did was it taught me how you take orders and look at corporate policy, how each department delivers that, and then the roles and responsibility, the evaluation, performance, and all that kind of, the corporate world, right? So it kind of honed me in terms of how you manage a big business. So at that time, with no idea, where we would go, which segment of society, what segment of industry we would go into. And one day he said to me, I found a shop. And I said, what for? He said, you wanted to go into business. You agreed to go into business. So past St. Luke's Hospital, past the Black Bull on the right-hand side was this absolutely run-down business. It was a hardware and a food shop. And I agreed to have a look at it. So then drove around Canterbury Estate, you can imagine. This is around about when I graduated, I think 2004. And then if you looked on the other side of the road, you had the big high-rises on Manchester Road, where the Afro-Caribbean community lived.
Yeah.
But I think one thing was clear to me. A lot of that area was deprived, but the money they earned, whichever way they did, so there were many ways of earning the money on Canterbury Estate, they hardly saved anything. So the propensity to spend was really high. So, and because it was a council estate and because of lawlessness to some extent, people perceived that area to be not really, conducive to actually doing business there. So you didn't have a lot of big multiples there, like Tesco's or Asda's or people like that. So it was a good opportunity. So we decided to buy it. Spent a lot of money converting it, but it was Dad's money and my younger brother's money that we utilized to actually set it up and start going. So originally it was a food shop, but then later on we kind of pivoted into Afro-Caribbean food. That was the real value proposition, the niche in the market that gave us the profitability and gave us
to kick on with.
To kick on with.
And how did you find that niche? Or were you just listening to customers basically as they came in? And Or did you hunt that out?
Well, I think because it was, we changed it. We changed the product mix. Initially, it was, the food shop was out there. It really didn't have much variety, right? It was mainly catered for working class white people. But as you know, the whole area of Bradford is diversified. So what we did, we changed the mix to have we tested with Afro-Caribbean products. We tested little bits of Asian products, and the products that sold the most were the Afro-Caribbean, and the most profitable were the Afro-Caribbean products. And when the customers did come in, we asked, well, where do you shop? And they said, the nearest place where we can get really good variety is Leeds and Huddersfield. So there wasn't really an offer in Bradford. So that's why we expanded that field. And then later on, during the Thatcher years, when obviously, there was a lot of redundancies, particularly in the heavy industries that Bradford was involved. A lot of the men lost their jobs and women started taking up part-time jobs. So really cooking at home slowly started declining. So frozen food actually became, the ready meals and all that kind of stuff came into being. And one of my mentors was Barry Fuller. I don't know whether you know Fuller's International. It was in Leeds.
Fuller's,
frozen food company, one of the largest frozen food companies. Barry Fuller almost became my godfather.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, so he mentored me, guided me. So we started frozen food, Afro-Caribbean stuff.
And what time was this? So I'm trying to place this time in then. So was this early 80s that you were doing this? What was the time frame for you?
It would be, I reckon, it would be after 2000.
Oh, sorry. So the early 2000s, right?
Yeah. Because I went to university, I think, 1994.
Right.
Then graduated around about, I think it was a 4-year course. So whenever, I think it was 2003, 2004, I graduated. We got the shop then, and it took us 3 years to do the research, develop the product portfolio, and then settle on frozen food and the Afro-Caribbean stuff. And then later on came Sea Fresh.
Yes.
But that was later on.
So we'll get to that, because I used to go there and collect cans of Coke with my dad. So anyway, another story later. But it's interesting because obviously your dad kind of pushed you like parents do, right? So pushed you a little bit, but you were ready to kind of take that on board. And you were saying that it was really your dad and your younger brother's money, but as a family, how did you were the one taking the risk, you were leaving your corporate job. So how did you settle that as just, you don't have to tell us the details.
No, there's no secret. And I think...
equal shares, is that how you did it?
So what really, I think one of the key issues that I felt when I look, being a marketing person, and market research is something that I think I'm pretty good at. Analyzing a situation, getting to the root of the problem, is something that I think is something that I learned very early. And what I realized from the research was a lot of family businesses, when they start, everybody seems to be equal. Right, as the businesses grow, the families grow, wives come in, kids come in. That's when the politics and power politics start. So I knew that was the kind of model life cycle of a family business. So I was really conscious at the beginning that we avoided that. And the way to avoid was, so I had sat down with my brothers and my father, and I very respectfully said to my father that as far as decision-making was concerned in the business development and, risk-taking, I would take the lead on it. But he would take care of the family matters. I would not get involved. Asian families are kind of, humongous kind of monsters to manage, cousins, nephews, your relatives from the country that originate from. And that creates all sorts of politics and limitations. So I said, I'm not really going to get involved in that because that's going to cause strains and possibly conflicts. You take charge of that. And please, you've done enough for us. don't get involved in the business.
Yeah.
We shook hands on that.
Yeah, okay.
And you know, like I said, he's 102. And to this day, he's never evaluated me or said, how are you doing? Obviously, he's interested in how we're doing, but not in the sense of holding me to account.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's trusted you.
Yeah, so as far as the rest of the brothers were concerned, and Saj and Ajaz, who were the twins, who you know, they were at college, so really, you know, they were enjoying themselves and doing what kids of their age do. It was my elder brother and my younger brother and myself and two of our cousins who were running the business.
Right, yeah.
And we decided that irrespective of who is leading, it would be kind of equal share of the profits.
Yeah.
So it was a partnership. It wasn't a limited company.
Yeah, okay.
And that was a risk.
Yeah.
But I think we consciously took that decision because once you know that, you know, everything that even the shirt that you wear on your kind of body is liable to go if things go wrong. So that makes you really think hard about the decisions that you make 100%. And you think about the family.
Yeah.
Right. So it was equal in that respect.
And we won't jump straight to where you've got basically a significant national business now.
Yeah.
But we've made that leap from a shop.
Yeah.
So what was the moment that started really changing your trajectory with the small business, right? How did you change that dynamic of direction? What was the moment?
So when you have 5 brothers, 2 cousins, and 1 sister, all. So my younger brother, my elder brother, and myself, we were married. We had kids. So I'm somebody who's a future scope. I kind of like to think strategically and ahead of the curve. Right, that's another thing I think in business, you know, people really don't do, and I wouldn't advise them from my experience and from what the data shows. Is that you need to look away in terms of your vision. You need to know where you're going. And like I said to you, I wanted to avoid conflict. Right? And for that, it meant that the business that we had, one retail shop specializing in Afro-Caribbean and frozen foods, wasn't going to feed all those families. So inevitably, it would lead to conflict. So you needed to grow that business very quickly to accommodate the needs and aspirations and dreams of those family members. And the first strategy was that whichever shop came up on Little Horton Lane would buy it. So we bought the post office, we bought the shop next door, and it went like that. So Saj was running the video shop, and then my elder brother was running the paper shop, and somebody was running the hardware shop, and all that kind of stuff. And I think very quickly I began to realize that this scattering of specialization, right, and not focusing on growth in one particular is going to actually hemorrhage us, right? Because which one do you grow? Do you grow the video shop? Do you grow the paper shop? Do you grow the frozen food shop, right? And that's when Mr. Fuller came in. Because, you know, when I used to go buy frozen food, we used to sit down, discuss business environment, you know how business people are, talk about macroeconomy, right? Then talk about the city, leads, what the relationship is, where the opportunities are, where the risks are. And they, I think at that time, were in partnership with Iceland Foods, who were growing like crazy. And Mr. Fuller said to me, look, if you really, and I said, look, I'm really confused as to which of these businesses I should select to move forward. And he said, frozen food. And I thought, you know what, he would say that, wouldn't he? Because he's in frozen food wholesale. He wants more customers, and he's asking
to buy more frozen
and
food.
And then, you know, for weeks and weeks, you know, I was really thinking about that. And I went back and I said, yeah, I take your advice, but which segment of the frozen food? Do you want me to go retail or what? He said, no, food service. Because if you remember, what had happened during the Thatcher era, like I explained earlier on, that, you know, a lot of the heavy engineering went, a lot of the men, right? So you had the business link and the RDAs, Yorkshire Forward. We were trying to retrain people, get them into new jobs, right? And that's where I think Bradford as a city, we lost the plot in terms of what is it we are? What is it the city good at? Or what is it the city is going to be good at?
That's
We
right.
were really good
Yeah.
at heavy manufacturing,
Yeah.
textiles, logistics, right? And I think design in terms of all that kind of stuff and global trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. When that went
Yeah.
during the Thatcher,
What
right?
was left? Yeah.
We didn't really have a huge retailing. You know, we're not necessarily known for retail, although we had Busby's and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we were focused purely on engineering, logistics, and heavy industries and textiles. Right. When we lost that all of a sudden, you know, I think we were knocked out for a six.
Yeah.
Right. And so same, I asked the question to follow, where do we go? And he said food service. And that made logical sense because Freddie Laker, I don't know whether you remember.
I do know Freddie Laker. Yeah, I knew
Freddie Laker pioneered
Yeah.
cheap flights.
That's right.
So people during that era were flying to Canaries. Spain was a destination. And it was, you know, so cheap, right? That every Tom, Dick and Harry was going.
Yeah.
But here's the side spin that people didn't look at. So what had happened? People went to all these destinations, foreign destinations. You know, middle class had always gone, but your working class and lower middle class had not had the chance to actually go and visit but the food they tasted, right, apart from your fish and chips and your Yorkshire pudding or whatever it was.
Yeah. Sausage and mash.
Right? So they came back and they were saying, well, where can we get this and where can we get that? You would get your ready meals and your frozen food ready meals, but they're not the standard.
So it's people going on holiday, coming back wanting that here, right?
So can you imagine all this downward trend and then this Freddie Laker stuff and this new kind of emerging kind of breaking of technology and aircraft and you know people traveling suddenly create something disruptive and new, right? And Barry Fuller's saying to me, food service, because women are now working, they haven't got time to cook for them. So ready meals and eating out economy is going to be the next. And it made absolute sense to me. Because what was happening around me, so the frozen food, like you were coming and buying the Coke, right? Because we were on the main road, a lot of the restaurants and takeaways would come in and say, have you got 5 kilos of frozen chips?
Yeah.
No, I haven't got them, but I know a man who has, and I'll get them for you tomorrow. And then somebody would say, do you do prawns? Do you do, you know, lamb legs? Or do you do rice? Or do you do oil? Or do you do, you know, this or that? Do you do packaging? And I'd say, well, no worries, I'll get it for you tomorrow. I think the idea in business is if a customer comes to you asking for something and has the money, don't say no.
Find a way.
Find a way. Right? It doesn't matter whether it's in your line or not. Right? And what happened then is I had a little bet with the brothers. I said, so we had 2 tills already, and I put the 3rd till, right? And I said, this till here, if the money that I take in this outperforms the 2 that you've got, we're going to move into that area.
Wow.
So it's real quantitative sales analytics. You know, them days you didn't really have computers you could. So I said, this is the way we're going to do it. Right. So we kept the money separate, and I think by the time we got the product portfolio that I felt that the restaurateurs needed, I think it took us 6 months to a year.
Okay.
So getting all the stuff in, getting the freezers, special freezers in, making sure they were at the right temperature. And I think it must have been 2010, 2011. I think when that happened, I said, okay, we're going to go into food service. We're going to now focus entirely on food service, and we're going to slowly, you know, move out of this retail stuff that we've got. And clearly, you know, I didn't have much opposition because the money spoke and the profit margin spoke. But then, you see, in your food service, you've got obviously different segments. You've got the Indian curry restaurants. Then you've got your Italian restaurants. You've got your Chinese. Then you've got your fast food, and then you've got your fish and chips.
Yeah.
So where do you go? Right? Which one of those? So it's segment, then sub-segments, right? And finding out which one you're going to attack.
Yeah.
So for about a year and two, really didn't know, because that business was growing and growing, really. So I was really in the business trying to make sure that the customers get what they want.
Yeah.
But I think it really came to I think there was some sort of a problem in the Far East, and all of a sudden, right, the Chinese, the Italians, the Indian people, right, have you got king prawns? Have you got king prawns? And I'm thinking, what the hell's happened to these guys? Yeah, all. So suddenly it dawned on us that seafood is a commodity that is perceived to be very expensive, but really it's not, right? So the perceived value is really high.
Yeah.
And every segment is using that. And guess what? That's when Seafresh was born.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So where do we get this? Yeah. Where do we buy the product to sell? Right. We haven't got the volumes. We haven't got the money. Right. So there was a company called Icepack in Leeds. No, sorry, Ekmanwijk.
Okay.
Right. They were the biggest importers and distributors of king prawns. Right. So what we did is we used to go to them when somebody gave us an order, because they were literally half an hour's drive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we didn't invest any money. So we used to take the order in the morning and say, okay, because most takeaways and restaurants open in the evening, right? So we used to go and bring the order, right? That way we didn't invest, and would bring the goods in and sell them. But clearly, because we were buying from a wholesaler who were also our competitor, that wasn't going to last if we were going to grow.
Yeah.
So I was kind of desperate to find out, where the supply line was. And when I kind of looked at, you always look at the packaging back, the country of origin, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. And I'm thinking, wow, that's back home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But obviously, to get the product in from either India, Bangladesh, or Pakistan, you can't say, well, send me 15 cases. You've got to buy a container.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We didn't have the freezer rooms. We didn't have the money, right? And we most certainly didn't have the distribution network. So, Mr. Fuller again, right? Go back again. Right, okay, I really don't have the money. This is something that I need to bring in. And he said, no issues. Why don't you supply people that Icepack is not supplying? They're not in this area. They're either in Newcastle upon Tyne or they're in Scotland.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know anybody. He said, well, I know everybody. Here's Scotch Frost. Here's this guy. Just go ring him up and say, Barry Fuller's giving me the number, right? And
Can we sell your prawns?
Go try it.
Yeah.
Right, but first, before I ring them, I need to find out whether I can get the prawns. So my father-in-law was in the Pakistan Navy. So pick the phone up. I want these prawns. He says, I know a guy. He's got a factory. Right? His boats go out every day. Right, we would then, I think, we were paying £15 for a 2 kilo pack of king prawns, which we were selling for 35 or 50 quid.
Yeah.
So I ring him up and he puts me in touch with, he's in a Navy, so they've got a phone. Right, them days you didn't have the mobile phones or WhatsApp or anything like that. So he invites the person onto his ship and I'm having a conversation with him. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
And I'm saying, look, I want a container, right? How much will you charge? And he's saying something like 7 quid or 9 quid. And I says, nah, look, first time deal. I'm going to give you 50% of the money up front, right? £5. And he says, deal done.
Really?
Deal done.
Wow.
And I said, okay, you're going to have the money within 2 weeks and I'll confirm that. So now I've got the deal. Where do I put these games? A container of them, right?
Wow.
So I ring the people in Scotland, Newcastle upon Tyne, right, and some other retailers in the area which my competitors don't serve, right. So the guys in Newcastle and Liverpool and Scotland, I say to them, how much are you paying for your king prawns? One says 25, other says I'm paying. I said, well, I'm going to charge you 10 quid because you're Barry Fuller's friend. Yeah.
Amazing.
But what I want you to do, I want you to pay me 50% up front. So can you imagine? I'm charging double the money. I get my money in, so I've got the full money for that, the container.
Yeah.
So I send the money across, right? The container comes here. It goes to Barry Fuller. He keeps half of it, so I pay him obviously something, right? The other half I've sold to these people. It goes directly to them. I've already got the money, right? So then obviously one of Iceland's shops closed down, and Barry Fuller gifted me 12 second-hand freezers for nothing.
Wow. And he's clearly, from how you've talked about him, he's clearly, we'll come to him in a second, but a big influence for you.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it was. And he says, and he used to call me Poppy because Poppy comes from the word Papa. Papa means elder brother. And because obviously the English people didn't understand what it was, so Poppy was easy. So he used to call me Poppy. He says, Poppy, you're the kind of fellow I like. You know, you're a get up and goer, right? Wants to take risks. He said, will you teach my kids that stuff?
Oh, really?
Honest to God. Yeah. So his kids and I used to really be, it was really like a family.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Gaza and the Jewish state, the problem that we have now, and the relationship that I'm building with the same community, which is, right? And I think it's getting to know people, getting over this strangeness. And my mum used to say, strangers are the friends you've not yet met.
Yeah, totally.
So if you have that, if you think strangers are somebody who's going to kidnap you and take you away, then clearly you're not going to make a friendship.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously, you know, as the business grew like crazy, but next bit is even more crazy. So we wanted to have our cake and eat it, which is, so there were a lot of cash and carries in Bradford. So you've got Lubna Foods specializing in Asian food. You had Quality Food specializing in Chinese. Like I said, you had Icepack specializing in Kung Fruins. And then you had another cash and carry in Leeds, Ital Foods, right? Specializing in Italian foods. Right. But what I realized that there were some takeaways. At that stage, you had fish and chips standing on their own. The Indian restaurants were on their own. The Italians were on their own, right? And the fast foods were on their own.
Yeah.
But in a typical home, when you order, right, somebody wants maybe a Chinese, somebody wants an Italian, or somebody wants fast food, right? So as far as the takeaways were concerned, who had a combined menu, they had to travel to 4 different suppliers. And that was time consuming. They couldn't compare prices, stuff like that. So I think it was around about 2011, 12. 2009, we've bought a first warehouse on Thorncliffe Road, just off Manningham Lane. Right? And the idea was that we have the product portfolio for every single segment. Chinese, Italian, you know, Indian, fast food, right? And at that time, there were no halal products. You didn't have halal burgers, you didn't have halal chicken nuggets, you didn't have halal toppings, right? And that market was ripe for picking. Right? Because you had young people who'd gone to school, gone to university, gone to colleges, when their friends, right, who were having the Big Mac and they were having fillet of fish, please, or a veggie burger.
That happened to me at school.
Oh my God, right? Why am I having this, right? So all these things together. So it took us, I think, Pete, another 3 years. To get the supply chain, and some of that supply chain had to be international. You know, you say I'm flying all over the place. That was out of necessity. Right. So almost every other week, I'd be at Manchester Airport. I'd be in Malaysia. I'd be in China. I'd be in Turkey. You know, you name it.
And how did you find at that time? Because obviously, you're a family man. You've also and was the stress with the business in terms of money, or and we'll get to a bit of psychology and how you manage that. But how did you find that period of time? It sounds like a very busy period of time, and were you just loving it, just getting stuck into it?
I think we moved from when we moved to Thorncliffe. I think we were on the shop was doing close to £1 million turnover. When we opened the warehouse with all this and we marketed it, I reckon we jumped to about 4 to 5 million in 1 year.
Wow!
Right? We had to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know warehouse management, we didn't know about HR, right? We didn't know about it was new territory which none of us had anything.
And no
to do
systems and processes.
right, no systems and processes, and thank God, I was somebody who was always about engaging, right, with institutions. So I was director on Business Link with Eddie Rogers. Yeah, and we'd set up an organization called ATL, Asian Trades Link, in 1999, whilst I was running this business, right? Which was, how do we bring Asian businesses to actually move out of just serving the Asian community and become mainstream? So we partnered up with Bradford University Management Centre to run courses and help young people to learn about business models and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I was kind of asked to join Business Link. And what happened was, when we realized that all this, you talk about family pressures, I've got a wife, I've got kids, but because we're an extended family system, that helped amazingly well. Because when I was
everyone's chipping in.
Oh, everyone's chipping in, not just in terms of work, but in terms of social support, psychological support, whatever they needed dropping off. If I'm away, right, they're taken care of. So in that respect, right, I think the extended family system was amazing. But in terms of how you find people across the globe and fly out there, and you really didn't have much of an internet. It was the beginning of e-commerce and all that kind of stuff. But
back then,
you had to go to an exhibition.
The
way was that you find out an exhibition, because you couldn't really travel to one company, right? You'd be there in a country, country as big as China, India. You'd be there forever. We would look at from Business Link, and then there was Mark Robson. Do you remember? It was UKTI.
No,
right? Internet, right? He was head of UKTI for North Humber and Yorkshire.
Okay.
So because I was traveling a lot, and because I was on Business Link, he said, Amjad, when you go in there, why don't you talk about Bradford and the opportunities in Leeds and it was Yorkshire Forward, and that's how Tom Rare and I became really close. Linda Pollard and Arshad, who was my CEO at ATL, then became director at Yorkshire Forward. So I reckon this social network for me became an institutional learning. It was a bank of people who had already kind of ahead of my kind of business curve, and I used to go, Eddie, I don't understand that. Well, we'll send a consultant, right, and it'll be 50% discount, right? And I'd say, wow, send them in. So what we did, Eddie Rogers said, look, we're going to send somebody in, right, who's going to do a feasibility, right? And they sent in somebody from Salford University, I remember, and I sat them down and I said, listen, I'm too busy. You just got to go out, and whenever you need me, right? I think they did about 2 weeks of consultancy. And they came back and said, there's nothing wrong with your business. It's a growth market. You're in the value proposition is right. There's only one problem. And I said, what's that? They said, it's you.
Really?
And I said, what do you mean?
Wow.
They said, everything's in your head. You're not delegating. You've got no roles and responsibility. Your adoption of technology is non-existent.
And was that quite a humbling experience to hear that then for you? Or did you kind of know that you were?
I think I knew. But Pete, like I was saying to you earlier on before we started this, is when you're in the business, kind of 99.9% of the time, right? And it's only when you go into bed that you think about You know, when you should be sleeping, you're thinking about, I should be doing this.
Yeah.
Really, I should be doing that, right? But
I'm nodding because I know. I'm there. I'm there right now.
right.
Yeah.
So you don't have the sleep, and your partner's thinking,
Yeah.
what the hell's
Go
up
to
with this?
sleep.
Yeah, go to sleep, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not performing in that side as well, right? And you're thinking, oh my God, you know what's happening? Yeah. We've been all through that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was so glad that somebody said that to me, right, straight to my face. So I said to, his name was Tahir Khan, right, and he became part of my team. He became part of my family, right, and led the company after I retired 16 years ago. And I sat Tahir down, and for me, it was so lucky. I think luck has something to do with it. You can plan as much as you want, but luck has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Tahir was somebody who was a qualified accountant and an amazing technologist. Can you imagine one person, right? This is 2008, 9.
Yeah.
You come across this guy, and he presents you this report and tells you you're the problem, right? And you need to do this. So I did a report. I said, give me the report. He gave me it. I said, I'm too busy to do this. You're going to implement this.
Wow.
He said, well, I don't work for you. I said, but you're going to do, aren't you? He said, what do you mean? He said, I'm offering you a job.
Wow.
He said, well, I've already got a job. I don't work for Asian companies. You know, they're this, that, the other. They're family orientated. There's no growth. I said, okay, give me your kind of plan or what you want to do and what your aspirations are for the next 5-10 years. And I promise you, if you deliver, I'll deliver your dreams for you.
Fair deal.
And he said, you can't afford me. Right? You know, what you're paying yourself is not enough. Right? And if you're not paying yourself enough, how are you going to pay me?
Yeah.
I said, don't you worry about that. You just give me an answer. Right, would you accept the job? He says, I have to go back and talk to my family and come back to you. A week later, he came back, and said, this is what I want, right, and I believe if we do this, we'll get there. And I said, okay, how much? And I can tell you, Pete, when he told me, I nearly fell off my chair. Right, but I knew I didn't have those skill sets. And for me to actually not have those skill sets, it was, that opportunity in life comes once in a lifetime. In business, there's a life cycle to every industry that's growing. And if you get in at the growth rate where we were the first movers into halal sector, first cash and carry to do everything in one go, right? Had the supply chain by now across the globe, and we just needed to put the foot on the pedal and go. Right? And I just needed the right people. And unfortunately, Sajanezas were still at college. They used to come in, right? My younger brothers didn't have the skill sets that I needed, right? And I had to bite the bullet. And I said, deal done. And you know what? I think looking back at it, it was the best risk that I took. The man took charge of the technology, the systems, hiring of people, accountability, business forecasting, all that kind of stuff. I could focus on supply chain and business growth. And by that time, Saj and Ajas, right, had left. And I said to them, you're not going nowhere else. You're coming here, right? And this is what we're doing. And that's really, I would say that would be 2010, 2011, right, when we decided that we would go multi-site. And I think one of the other key things that any business needs to do, you need to, you need to do things similar to what your competitors are doing, but you need to have a value proposition which is unique, that solves the pains of your customers.
Absolutely.
And ours was that we've got everything that you need under one roof, and what we guaranteed that if you bought the basket of goods, not individual items, basket of goods from us, we would beat the price.
Wow. Is that, so you do that at checkout?
Yeah.
So that's quite because
So if somebody would come and say, look, so, they would say, oh, I can buy vegetable oil cheaper than you. I could buy rice cheaper. I'm sure you can, but they're doing you on other stuff. Those are loss leaders and you're losing on other.
yeah.
Right? They wouldn't believe us. I said, okay, well, you bring your invoice of last week from your competitor. That gave me an insight into pricing other people.
Yeah, what they're doing. Love it. Yeah.
Right. I had evidence-based pricing.
Yeah.
Right. We set a precedent of how you treat a customer. You listen to them and you respect them and you're delivering what you're promising.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we would then say, okay, well, let's put these through our computer. Right. We'll make sure.
Yeah.
Right. That they would win.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So once you did that, it was transparent. We were winning customers like crazy.
Amazing.
Right. And I think you talked about psychology earlier on. So it's not really just about products and services and being quicker at delivering. Yes, those things matter. I think what you've got to look at is what real problems are you solving for you? What big, ginormous problem is it that you're solving for that person?
Mm-hmm.
You talk to me about my family and my, the psychology and all that kind of stuff. That is the key question. Okay? The key question that I asked my team was, what problem are we solving for the takeaways and restaurants which other people are not solving?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? After doing a lot of surveys, we used to go to people's takeaways at 2:00 in the morning, when they were opening up, right? I think we spent 6 months visiting Alton. And the thing that came back was that these were young people who were running these takeaways and restaurants. They were coming to work around about 3:00 to do the preparation of the food, right? Then getting the staff in, then doing the cooking, and then staying till 2:00.
Cleaning up.
Okay. Now, look at that, and then look at the family disruptions and tension that's going to cause. So, if you're going home at 2:00 and you're married, your wife's asleep. There's no relationship. There's no meaning relationship there, right? Yeah. So you go to sleep, your wife's getting up, preparing the kids if they're going to schools, doing all the breakfast, taking them to school. You're still asleep. You've missed your kids.
Yep.
They've gone to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they come back, 3:00, your wife's doing all that. And if you're doing it at a speed neck, right? Because you've got to go all to these cash and carries, pick these things up, right? Prepare them, right? Then get your staff in. Some are calling in sick. They get the replacement, right? Yeah. Make sure that the delivery drivers are there, right? And then stand at the counter pretending that you're happy and smile at the customer.
Yeah, I'm nodding because my family business
I know,
takeaways.
Right.
So
and when I tell this to people say, oh my God, we never looked at the psychology and the family disruption that's causing.
So you were setting out to make it easier.
Right. Okay. So then what is happening? So all this delinquent culture that you've got in ethnic minority population, and I'll call it delinquent. It's because most of these people are running these takeaways or they're running, taxi businesses. I've got nothing against them.
Yeah.
I am just telling you the disruptions that's causing and the impact that's having on the children and the impact then it has on the city and its reputation. Because we're not parenting them and society is not actually bringing them up. That is really the root cause. So what did we say? We said, okay, well, you know what? You give us all your order. You don't have to go to the shop at 2:00. Give us your key and an alarm code.
Wow.
We will deliver it and you get there at 5:00 and make sure you stay home with your family.
Wow.
So there's, number one, there's trust. They've given me key for their business and an alarm code and trusted me to put the goods in the right place. Yeah. In return, they've got peace of mind, family life, right? And for that comes the pricing. We're going to charge you a little bit more for that.
Yeah.
And some people, Pete, after about a month would say, you're charging me too much. And we used to say, here's the keys. his thing, go back. And you know what?
Yeah.
2 weeks later, Pete, they'd be back. Can I have that slot? Can you please do that
Wow,
for me?
what a service.
Yeah, and
Love
till
it.
today, Pete,
Yeah.
we've got thousands of keys. Right,
Still doing it?
Still doing it. You know what that did? Okay. Well, you know what that... So there's another reason. Yes, we're solving a problem, but we're solving our problem. You know what our problem was? Every takeaway and restaurant wanted their delivery before 4 o'clock. There is no way on planet Earth, if you're growing and you've got thousands and thousands of customers served, that you can deliver that.
Yeah.
But if you've got the keys, you can deliver that anytime you want.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? When there's no traffic, so your fuel consumption goes down. So what we were doing then, so we're sweating the assets. So our trucks, so you were doing night deliveries to our branches. So we'd save fuel, we'd have keys for the branches, would put them. So the same trucks would come back, right? Next lot of drivers would use the same truck, right? Then to do the wholesalers. So the wholesalers all over the country that we serve, where we don't have the branches. So they do it. Then the last bit would be the same trucks, third set of drivers would take the keys and deliver them before 4 o'clock.
Amazing. It's that is just invention, isn't it?
So, but innovation. But the thing is, you've got to love your customer and you've got to get under their skin. And how do you do that? If you're just going to be transactional, you don't understand this. You don't visit them. You don't talk to them. You don't give them time. You're never going to understand the cycle in which they're doing their business.
Totally. So business today.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've popped in a couple of times. I know Saj.
Yeah.
So, what does that look like for people listening and watching? What does that look like today?
Okay, so the first question that I asked, so I do a lot of mentoring across the globe and here as well, startups and SMEs, and I asked them to give me a definition of a business. Yeah, and they basically say it's a entity that's delivering goods and services in a growing market, right? That's creating us profit, right? So we can live our life happily. Yeah, fine. I'd say 90% of people, that's their definition, roughly definition of a business. But for me, there's something else that I add to, right? Which I think people really need to consider, is that business works without me. Why? Because what's the point of having money and not living your dreams? Yeah. So 16 years ago, when I started my business, I said, I'm going to retire early. And early for me would be around about 50, which I did. Yeah. And that means bringing in people, experts, trusting people from outside your family, outside your comfort zone, giving them power, right? And people say, give them your vision. I think the vision is not necessarily mine. The vision is, how do we solve customers' problem?
Yes.
That is the biggest vision. Whatever that is, whatever you're selling, whatever you're producing, I'm not really interested in that. Are you actually solving creatively and innovatively and disruptively, right? So you make money, but your customer solves a problem and stays competitive and survives in the market. So that for me was so we did that. Like I said, we brought in the team. I retired, brought in the new generation who took over. If you look at our business, I think we're probably one of the few businesses that really care about community and actually putting back into society. Yeah, whether it's vulnerable people or employment policies and all that kind of stuff, right? So that is the family values in the business.
Because you're a big employer in Bradford, aren't you?
Yeah, I think when I left, I think there were over 700 people that we employ. When I left, it was doing around about 50 million. I think now they're doing about 100 million. With Bestways, with their 70 depots, each depot does an average of 15 to 20 million. You're looking at £1 billion business.
I was going to say Bestways because I didn't know if that was a public. There's people.
It's now public.
It's now public.
It's now public.
So I don't know if you want to share that, but that's amazing.
So basically, we had created, in its own category, we became the largest independent food service company, and clearly for us to grow quickly, because there's a timeline, like I was saying, there's a life cycle to everything, right? If you wait too long, you're going to lose it. Plus, I think the third generation, my kids and my brother's kids,
Is that Sajid's boys?
and my boys, and
Yeah.
right, they got educated here. Some of them are working in the business, but vast majority of them, like my daughter Sabir was in the BBC.
Yeah.
The other one works
Yeah.
for Rolls Royce. The other one is in Thailand. You know, they've got their own life.
Yeah.
They've got their own careers. They're happy what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the family realized that there wasn't a succession that was going to be coming. Right? They were not really interested. So I think what we really wanted to do was find the perfect fit where the Adams values and its kind of creativity, but it remained a Bradford business.
Yeah.
Because Best Ways is a Bradford business. So Sir Amjad Pervez was a bus conductor in Bradford. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I don't
£5
know.
billion business. Yeah, bus conductor in Bradford, moved to London, right? And he loves Bradford. He actually does a lot of work with Bradford University, sponsors a lot of PhD.
We'll have to meet him.
No,
I've never met
we'll
him.
bring him round. Don't
Yeah,
worry. We'll bring him
we'll need
round.
to meet him.
We'll have a podcast with
Yeah,
him.
well, it'd be a fantastic podcast. Well, yeah.
So we were looking for a company. There were a lot of people who wanted to, obviously, hook up with us, but we were looking for a company that had the same values and wanted to grow the company, and that turned out to be Best Ways. And I think it was on the 10th of the 10th, last year that we did the deal. But because they don't really know much about food service, my team still stays there. So they're managing the growth of that business, and they'll continue to manage it. And the headquarters, we insisted, has to be in Bradford, and that's still in Bradford.
Wow.
And obviously, it's a growing business, and it will grow and grow.
And so, from your point of view, and I follow you on LinkedIn. You're like my LinkedIn friend, and he's in Pakistan and he's doing this, and I think you're doing something in Saudi as well.
Saudi, I'm doing a lot of stuff in Turkey, Malaysia.
And have you bought businesses over there?
Yeah, okay. So let me. So when I retired, I actually, I was part of the LEP.
Yes, I do know that.
Yeah. So I was chairing the education and enterprise committee that was looking at how our ecosystem, post our empire days, post-industrial revolution, and we talked about Bradford, how the demise and the shift in the global competitiveness, and we're suffering still for that. I don't know whether we found out. So it was new cities born, producer city. I've been part of all those kind of initiatives, the Centre for Regeneration and all that kind of stuff. And sadly, I don't think we've really found out what our value proposition is. What is it that we want to invest in the next 10, 15, 20 years? There's a debate going on, and I think we'll get there. But the last 20, 30 years, I think, has been really painful.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
And I'm hoping that the City of Culture, yes, we need to have celebrations. Yes, we need to have a party. Yes, we need to have cultural events, right? Because without that, society would be poor. But if we do not have an ecosystem of enterprise that is robust, sustainable, and wealth creating, with a young city, there are people entering the job market who are having to go to Leeds. There's nothing wrong with going to Leeds, right? But why shouldn't people come here and have high quality jobs? Like I did, like my father did, moved from London to come to Leeds, right? I want Bradford to be the epicenter of the wealth. We have all the jigsaw pieces for creating a beautiful. We have the university, we have the colleges, we have the businesses,
100%.
we have the developed human capital, we have people like yourself who want to advocate for Bradford, right? We have the media. We really need to get.
And what do you think? So from the next part of the chapter of your family and what you're doing, because I know you're doing things. Do you think that there's what are you going to back? As in, is it property? Is it advanced manufacturing? Do we look at technology? What do you think? I think it's time maybe we back some horses. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. So let me tell you what I'm doing. So I became chairman of Jumpstart Pakistan, which is the largest entrepreneurial movement in the history of Pakistan.
Wow.
In 2018, when Imran Khan became the Prime Minister, I've worked with Imran very, very closely when he was Chancellor at Bradford University. Yeah, so very, very closely.
Yeah.
I went to Pakistan because I just wanted to find out, because that's my heritage. I really haven't spent a lot of time there. I wanted to find out, where do I come from? Where did my family come from? And what I really found was young population like Bradford, very entrepreneurial, but really, the government was dysfunctional. We know what's going on. Currently, he's in jail, unfortunately. And, there's a lot of corruption and stuff. So I actually became chairman of Jumpstart Pakistan, which had 30 chapters across the globe. Bradford University played a pivotal role in actually became our anchor patron. And what did that mean? Those young, bright people we encouraged to come to Bradford University and do their further education.
Nice.
There's a transfer of skills and education, and we get the best talent. You talked about innovation, creativity, and
we get
backing the horses.
Bradford
University has one of the top business schools in the world. Their executive MBA is #1 across the globe. That means captains of industry from across the globe come here. How do we interact with them and say to them, can we do your distribution? Can we do a joint venture? We really don't do that.
Yeah.
We have the most diverse young population. I am sick to the back teeth of us talking about immigration and simply saying it's a problem.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. For the last 2 centuries, Britain has had a role to play in India, right? A colonial role to play. So we've known the world. So don't tell me that we don't know. We need to understand these are difficult to reach communities. We're not difficult to reach communities. We've had a relationship for the last 200 years. So we know each other intimately.
Yeah, we know each
so
other.
that, red herring needs to be set aside, right? So we need to create those relationships and create bridges of global entrepreneurial connectivity.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to do it sitting here and saying, that empire mindset needs to go.
Yeah.
Right? We need to be real, and we need to go out and win business. And because I have a heritage, and because I'm proud Bradford British, with a raw accent that I have, right? I want to use that. Like James. I mean, James is a perfect example.
James Mason,
a personal friend of mine, and we get
Great
on like
guy.
a house on fire. Yeah, I'm director of Bradford Breakthrough.
Yes.
So not only am I kind of part of global institutions, but the institutions here, I'm kind of part of the furniture here as well.
Yeah.
So the innovation hubs where this talent sits. My job is, how do we connect with these disruptive entities and businesses and win the trade, right, and relationships and joint ventures for Bradford? And right now, I've just become chairman of UKEC Pakistan. UKEC is the largest organization which works with 180 universities in UK.
Right. Okay.
Bringing overseas talent to UK universities. So I've become his chairman for Pakistan, but I'm hoping for Asia. Right? What do you need to grow a business? Human capital. What do you need to grow leadership in a city? Talented, honest, entrepreneurial leadership.
Yeah.
Career politicians are my bane of life, right? And yes, we need politicians, but they need to understand that without wealth creation, everything else is an expense. You're going to put your rates up by 10% if you don't create that ecosystem of enterprise. And if you keep cutting stuff, right, and keep cutting the services, and you don't give the service for that increase in 10%, well, then the chickens are going to come home and roost.
And I think, Amjad, I think something that does give me a bit of comfort is I certainly feel there's a movement. I think people like you have been pushing really hard on this now. And I think there are, certainly in the local network that I have and some of the politicians I know, I've got to know quite well, chairing the Inward Investment Board, there is that sense now, growth comes from enterprise. It doesn't come from borrowed money, doesn't come from central government. No one's answering that call. So we need to invest in business. And I think what you're doing is incredibly impressive. And do you, I want to ask you, can we get political a little bit? As in,
why not?
Yeah. So, because you mentioned about City of Culture, and obviously a big impetus for me was the vibe of culture for me is listening to, I can see myself in the car with my dad outside one of your depots, probably your first depots you were talking about, helping him put the Coca-Cola cans in the car, right? And when you were talking about work-life balance as a takeaway owner, I could hear my mum and dad. I was like, probably why me and my brother didn't go into it, right? But do you think, and I think, well, let's ask the question, City of Culture, have we got it right? Do you think we've got it right in terms of what we're trying to promote? I mean, what are the noises you hear from the South Asian communities and other communities that you're well part of?
You know, when you win something, irrespective of how you won it, as long as you've not done any cheating, which we certainly haven't done, we won the City of Culture on merit.
Yeah.
Because of the diversity. Yes, we've got problems. By God, we've got problems. But you know what?
So
it's an amazing city.
Yeah.
And we deserve this. And first and foremost, we should be proud of it and we should be celebrating it. Have we got it right in terms of how we have given ownership of that win to the average person on the street or a small business in the street? I don't think there's a debate on that. In terms of how much we charge for the logos and all that kind of stuff, right? I think really, that should be a shared social capital because we pay the rates and everything else, we pay the taxes. And then on top of that, to do that, big businesses like us, if they want to exploit and use it within that branding, they should pay for it. I've got nothing wrong with it. But if you want an ecosystem of enterprise that we want it to be, then at that early stage of businesses, they needed help. I think we really need to get that right. And it's not too late.
No.
Yeah, it's not too late
for them
to allow that to do that.
It's only
That's
March.
A message to the leaders, to the powers that are listening, right? So you charge people like Morrison's and other people a lot more. They can afford it. And the medium-sized businesses maybe a little bit more, right? But the other businesses, give them a freebie. I think we need to have, so they can join in this, right? They feel part of it because you can only have it for 1 year, and why restrict it and try to make money out of it, right? Yes, you need sustainability, but really this planning, right, should have gone into it a long time ago when we put the bid in it. I remember having heated debates in Bradford Breakthrough, right, where decisions in terms of this planning of how and when these, so-called copyrights would be used were not forthcoming. That is because the team had not been put in place. Well, that's another, right, I think, mistake or fault that has happened. But I'm not going to be too critical of that because, building a team takes time and that. But I think the critical part and the important part is this. I think number one, throughout this discussion, me and you've talked about realizing what is it that you're good at, whether you're a person, whether you're a company, whether you're a city, and whether you're a country, and whether you're a region like the European Union, right, or the Middle East. You've got to actually, you can't have a 2030 plan not knowing, what your value proposition is going to be. Unfortunately, we are not sure. Is it producer city? Is it culture? Is it diversity? Is it financial services? Is it legal services? Is it outsourcing? Is it food? What is it? I'm not sure that we've actually... So the economic recovery plan that Professor Zahir, as a chair of the plan did, and Manoj, I think, was a chair of the
economic partnership. Yeah.
I keep asking questions. What part has it been delivered? Where's the evaluation? There's silence. We can't go silent on things. If we have a strategy paper which people agree, why is it not being delivered?
Yeah.
Either the value proposition is not right,
Yeah.
or we've not got the right team, or we've not put enough resources, or there's disunity. You know, sometimes you've got to have an honest debate.
Oh, yeah. And I think we're afraid of it,
and
aren't
you know,
we?
you and me,
Yeah.
and a lot of the entrepreneurs out there are not critical for the sake of being critical.
That's right.
We are critical friends who want to help you, please. Because, you know, our political leaders and bureaucrats come and go. I've lived in this city since 1969. My mum's buried, my daughter's buried in that Scolmore cemetery.
Yeah.
My dad's 102, and he's here as an institution. I'm going to be here, my family's going to be here. So my stake in this city is bigger than theirs. And my kids and my grandkids are here.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm critical, because I want to have a
Place
stake
to
in
be.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Totally.
how do we solve this?
Yeah.
So I think the uniqueness that we have is our diversity. And that diversity, instead of saying immigrants are no good, they're sponges and they've got these habits and they've got, you know, they created these inner city ghettos and, you know, they're bad drivers and there's gang culture and there's groomers. There's black sheep in every society,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Every society has. Please, let's focus on the positive. What is it that we can do which is positive?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, young population, entrepreneurial city, we're the top city for entrepreneurialism. Our startups are the longest, they survive the longest.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Focus on that, right? Entrepreneurialism and diversity. Now, with that technology, you talked about technology, which horses do we back? Technology, life sciences, biotechnology, research and development, tourism, and food.
Yeah.
We've got the pieces.
Yeah, we have.
We just need the policies
Yeah.
and the right drivers. The private sector needs to lead on that.
Yeah.
We should have a think tank or a board for every sector, for these sectors, and those sectors should be driving it. And the government and the institution, whether it's the combined authority, whether it's the LEP, whether it's the council, whoever it is, the central government, whoever it is, you are facilitators. Tell us what to do.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
You're facilitators. Yeah. You're supposed to be creating ease of doing business.
Yeah.
If a business is exploitative, it is stepping out of the line. Prosecute, bring them back in line. Don't turn a blind eye. Yeah. If we're going to go into tourism, we've got the best hospitality sector, and you're not doing any, scores on door surveys in terms of their hygiene because you've cut back on services, and they're not sticking to hygiene, and we've got all these tourists coming in and getting food poisoning. Well, 100%. We've got that one wrong, haven't we?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So if we're going to focus on something, we need to look at the whole kind of structure of that industry. And the industry itself should be responsible. The institutions, the governmental institutions, actually being the guardians and the implementers and the evaluators.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Go to Dubai, exactly same thing.
Yeah.
Go to Kuala Lumpur, same thing.
And we've gone too far, haven't we? With it, we've gone too far, and I think that I also sense. I've had a few of these conversations now with leaders like you, and it's almost like, well, we've kind of given up trying to change that bit, so we're going to change what we can control. So yeah, I think for me, listening to that, having spent a couple of years now trying to help, right? I volunteer my time to do the Inward Investment Partnership. I've met some wonderful people in the council, and that, the council has some unique challenges, but it also has challenges that are faced by any other post-industrial city.
But I'll tell you what's disappointing for me, Pete. Yeah, all this needs what I keep calling the ecosystem of enterprise. Yeah. That means which of the organizations. Like if you go to Pakistan, it's Lahore, Islamabad, it's Peshawar. If you go to India, it's, there's certain cities. If you go to America, it's Silicon Valley, it's California. Right? They all specialize in different industries. They're sector specialists.
Yeah. Why don't
where is our specialism, right? You know, those you said back the horses, and I gave you 5, 6 different, right? Then for that, you need sector specific.
Trade bodies and
trade bodies, and then you need the stakeholders, right? You need the banks, you need the specialist investors, you need people in the supply chain, right? That's going to take you years to develop. But you know what? We have Bradford University, we have Bradford College, so we have the learning people on board, world class. We have the young people. The people have money in Bradford. Let me tell you that. But they're spending in Birmingham, they're spending in Dubai, they're spending in Morocco. A lot of the young, you know, what really now is frightening me. One of my daughters, who's an aeronautical engineer, works for Rolls-Royce, was here in UK, has gone to Dubai. No, he's gone to Saudi Arabia.
Saudi, I saw that.
My other daughter is a STEM teacher in Thailand. Yeah. My other daughter who's, medic kind of type in healthcare, thinking of going overseas.
And what's the reason? What are their reasons for
Number one, taxation is so high.
Yeah.
Number two, cost of living has gone, right? And then look at the NHS. You try going to accident emergency, right? I was in the NHS for 5 years. Yeah, as a NED, I was chair of the.
Right, I didn't know that. Yeah.
So when Kalna Patel became chair, I actually joined, right? Because to put all these efficiencies and stuff like that into place. So I've been in the NHS.
Did the system fight you back, or did you?
Oh, crazy! First 2 years, they didn't even understand what I was talking about. I mean, you're talking to some of the most intelligent people on planet Earth, right? But imagine a doctor who's done to get the best A-level results. They're down here. Then they go to university for 5 years. Right. So in terms of their socialization and interpersonal relationship, they're not really good at that, right? So they get somebody like me, right, who's saying, well, why are you doing that? Well, who are you? We're the most clever. So I think it's not just about money. It's about management. It's about new techniques. It's about disruption. It's about, and things are changing. But unfortunately right now, right, what are we offering for the taxes that we are paying? The health service, I'm not saying that as a critic. I'm telling you what it is. Yeah. So the education system. So not everybody can afford a private education system. So I think we really need to go back to asking ourselves: yes, we are charging you these taxes, but are we giving world-class education and world-class health? It's mediocre. Right? So that's why young people are saying, well, I can't even get on the property ladder till I'm 35, 40, right? So they go overseas, spend 5 years, earn, 70, 80,000 tax-free, then they get all these perks, right? Come back, they've got a deposit, and then maybe they'll do consulting.
Yeah.
But, it really is sad now, because when I was growing up, my generation would never think of relocation.
Well, you wanted to come from London to Bradford.
Exactly, right? So now, because I connect with young people across the globe, and I ask them, do you really want to go to UK? No, not really. I'm going to go to Middle East. Yeah.
There is a big draw to that right now.
I'm telling you, right? So it's not just, we came out of Brexit.
Yeah.
Oh, we want to trade with the rest of the world. We want to build relationships.
Yeah. It's not.
Has it happened? Right? We don't want to even talk about it.
I know.
And turns out that Nigel Farage was always the American bogeyman to get us out there. So we're isolated now, right? And now they're trying to break us all up. You wanted to talk about politics. Look, what's happening there? All of a sudden, right, Mr. Trump and the Americans are saying, we're a random country who hasn't fought for 30, 40 years. Well, hello. What about the sacrifices in Iraq and Syria and everywhere else? All of a sudden, you've forgotten that. But you know what? If you're not going to invest in your economy and wealth production, that's the treatment your so-called special relationship is going to give you. So I think the lesson is, let's get back. This city of culture is something that is uniting us for once. All the diverse population.
I feel that.
And honest to God, the young people, my own grandkids, right, are booking every event that's going.
Doing stuff.
So it's amazing, right? But I want something tangible. The day ends, I don't want it to end.
It needs a legacy.
I need to carry on. And it needs about entrepreneurialism. And look, diverse people, whether they're from Sri Lanka. There's 70 odd communities in Bradford.
Oh, yeah, all around
Can
the
you
world.
imagine
Yeah.
70 bridges that connect us across the globe?
Yeah, that's a very powerful analogy.
Right?
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
can negotiate with the Pakistanis better than any English person. Yeah, because I know that culture, I know this culture, I know the institutions over there,
Yeah.
and I know them here.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't you want that for Bradford, for Sri Lanka, for Bangladesh, for India,
It'd be amazing.
for Middle East, for Dubai, for all that?
Yeah.
Right? But for that, you have to treat people equally. Don't just preach equality, live it and deliver it. And that's been some of our problems in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the policy makers just drive by on Canal Road, right, who don't even live in the inner city, they don't even want to go on Manningham Lane because they fear they're going to get mugged. Yeah. And they just want to drive on Canal Road and then go on to Keighley Road on that side. Yeah. Because they've got nothing, right, at stake in the inner city. But you know, the people who live here are born here. They call themselves British Pakistani or British Indian or British Bangladeshis or British Ukrainians or British Czechoslovakians. Let's honor them and give them respect and give them the opportunity that my father had, that I had, and Bradford can give them. I think it's an amazing city. I think we can turn it around in 10 years. I'm 66. My dad's 102. My mum died at 86. So I've got it in my genes. So I'm hoping I'm going to be living to 86 and see this as the epicenter of Europe in terms of entrepreneurs.
Wow, that is a vision.
No, honest to God.
That is a vision.
I'm doing this across the globe and trying to connect it back to Bradford.
Yeah.
Whether it's part of Bradford Council or whatever, I'm not really bothered. It's my duty because my grandkids are here. It's for them.
Yeah.
So I'm greedy in that sense, but you know what?
No. I listen. We talked before we pressed record, and a big driver for me on this was when my kids are old enough to go, well, what did we do during Year of Culture? I'll say, well, we had a go at doing this. We brought together a group of people that are in, like, the Bradford ecosystem is quite disparate. I think that's fair, and we do need to bring it more together. But we've got a book of work that we showcase people having a go.
I think what might come out of this, you know, maybe you've not thought of it. I'm sure you have, but I'll throw it in anyway. So our conversation has been history, the legacy of what the Bradford fathers did. My father is a Bradford father, yeah, who came here, you know, whenever he did. I think before 69. I came in 69. He brought us here in 69, 70. But I think the discussion that we're having is we're analyzing, like any business person does in their business, what the problems of that business. It's not a criticism of the leaders. I think this is where it goes wrong when they take it personally.
Yeah.
Like, Amjad is having a go.
Yeah.
There he goes again.
Yeah.
Right? You know, he's got money, so he thinks he can talk like that. But, you know,
I don't get that impression.
No, but I'm saying
Yeah.
the analysis that we've just done about my journey and your parents' journey and your journey, and this company that we're Funks that we sat here, PR, young company, and I'm hoping it'll grow into an amazing PR company. Yeah, is I think we analyze all the podcasts that you do and see all the wisdom that comes out of it in terms of what are the problems, what could be the solutions. And that, I think, would be the distillation of the horses that we back, along with the economic strategy paper that we've already have. Right? That would be a powerful tool, right? Even during the City of Culture, we start shaping that document, right, or that piece of work, and start saying, these are our priorities, these are the resources we're allocating, this is the work of the private sector, this is the work of this, that, and the other. Let's go to work.
Let's go. Yeah, love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that way you bring people together and move.
We can do something on that after this for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that are pushing. We haven't really talked about space and AI and some of the work they're doing at the university, but that's incredible. And also, I think it was it Kirsten talked about it? So our space sector in Bradford and employing nearly 2,000 people.
I think the lady that advises the mayor of
Oh, yeah, Mandy.
Mandy's space. She came to see
Yeah,
me.
yeah, she's
Yeah,
great.
we had an amazing meeting.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
an amazing meeting. When she was actually, when she got the job, I reached out to her LinkedIn, right? And she came to see Adams.
Amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
And we were, exactly the same discussion that we had, right? So I think,
Yeah.
again, but, in order to back the horses, you need the research.
You do.
And then you need the guts.
Yeah, and just put it out there.
You need the guts.
Yeah, and I think that's something that where we've got to wrestle a bit of control back, or certainly feel like we can just do it, which is a lot of dancing around a little bit. And I think between local government and between private sector, and I think we just need to start seeing what sticks. Yeah.
I think a lot of the successful businesses, so if you look at our business, if you look at Regal, if you look at other big businesses, they started off being one sector specific, and which you have to be, because you need to focus on that, grow it, get the profitability,
get the knowledge,
get the scale,
Yeah.
and then once you've got extra funding, right, you then diversify into related products or something completely different. It's the ANZAF model of marketing, right? And I think what we really need to do is maybe have a conference on these businesses. Yeah. So Adams, Regal, your business, other, we've got all sorts of people, right? Get about 100, 200 top businesses from Bradford. Bring the founders and people who make the decisions and say to them, these are the opportunities of diversification, which we're going to back. Now, this is an insider information for you two families or 200 families for you to invest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I love it.
No, I'd love that. If I know that you're going to back an industry and you're going to give it help and support, not in terms of money, I don't want your money, in terms of your infrastructure, all the ecosystem that we talked about, right? And you're going to back me in terms of all that support, right? I'd be an idiot not to focus on that, because you're now giving me insight into policy that's going to be coming, and I'm going to be the first mover to set up a company in that, right?
And it also helps this young population we have to latch onto something. It gives focus, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It gives focus.
Exactly. And we talk about innovation and disruption and creativity. Now, the university and the learning quarter are very good at that, but they're not very good at commercialization. What we've done, I'm now working with 180 universities in Pakistan, through the innovation center that I've set up.
Yeah, no, I've seen. It's amazing.
So, so James was there.
Yeah, I saw.
James went to Lahore.
He's always on his LinkedIn videos, isn't he? So,
and he said, Amjad, you're doing this in Pakistan, right? I said, look, I tried doing it in UK, right, but for all sorts of reasons, right, I've come here, right, but I'm bringing it back, and I'm bringing it. So now we're going to be approaching 130 universities from UK to connect with those 180 universities.
Amazing.
Right? So the new disruptive businesses that are coming out of that, they need business ideas. Where do business ideas come from? They come from solving societal problems. We need to know what are the problems that we need to solve out in Bradford, in Yorkshire, in this area. Then we need to create those and put them in a business idea bank.
Yeah.
And say, look, if you can solve this problem, we will give you an entrepreneurial visa to come to University of Bradford, where you will be incubated, right, for a year, 2 year, right? And then when you start employing people, you'll get an entrepreneurial visa. That's immigration coming into, but it's positive. You've got great minds. They're solving your problems. They're creating employment, and they're creating profitability. And who knows what? They may be the next unicorn.
Yeah, and that's what we've got to build, right? And I think just to touch on something you were saying about when you're 86, where do you want to see the city? So your vision is to keep building on the people that can come here and make a difference, and also the people within the city, right? And ultimately giving them the pathways with focus. Like this is what went known for as a city, and this is the angles that you can take?
I think, our political system is very tribal, yeah, and very adversarial. We have a Labour government in place and we have a Labour kind of government in City Hall, but that has not always been the case.
No.
Yeah, and that has really hurt us in terms of investment. Yeah, so I think fundamentally this tribalism, and it's getting worse now with Farage and this right wing poison that they're spreading and fake news, right? So I think the sensible heads, right, in government, whether it's local government or regional government or national government, is we've really now got to go beyond this tribalism and conservative or Labour, and we've got to pin down what our national interests are.
Yeah, I agree.
Honest to God, right, Pete, I do not know what our national interest. Is it war?
Yeah.
Right, save Zelensky, the corrupt one. Yeah. And, paint China as an enemy. I've been dealing with the Chinese for 20 years. They're not aggressive people. They're not warlords like us. The West has been adversarial since whenever
time began.
Right? Time began. If you look at the Chinese history, they never want to conquer people. They're just about how can we work together. I'm not singing their praises because I'm in their pocket. I'm not. I'm just saying that is not the model. The model of we've got the military power, we've got the economic muscle, therefore we can change your government, you'll do whatever we want, needs to change to cooperation and respect. Where mutually people win. If we haven't learned our lesson from Iraq, if we haven't learned our lesson from Afghanistan, if we've not learned our lesson from Libya, if we've not learned our lesson from Syria, then we're actually repeating ourselves what is happening in Ukraine. Again, I am no friend of Putin. This is my country, this is my city, right? And it's interesting. But I don't even know, I don't have a say in terms of what my national interests are. Right? I don't have a say in our relationship. All of a sudden, we deem somebody an enemy and we have to pay extra taxes and send billions to them. I don't know the justification for that. There is no accountability, right, at that level. If we are truly democratic, we need mechanisms of accountability. I don't care who's in power. Whether it's Susan or whoever it is or whoever, I don't give a damn. For me, leadership is not about how popular you are. It's not how good looking you are. It's not how good of an orator you are. For me, for my family, when I was leading the company, it was only about, is Amjad delivering, providing the food, providing the shelter, providing the education, and giving us the opportunity of life. If he isn't, he's not fit for purpose, get him out. This tribalism is causing havoc in society. I'm Labour, I'm going to vote Labour all my life, right? Even if they screw it up, which they have been doing. Not just Labour, most of them. We wouldn't be Pete where we are if successive governments had not done.
Yeah, I agree.
And we really want to put people. So if we want to learn anything from the Chinese or anybody, they're not authoritarian in the sense. If you go study their system of government representation, the people who take up the offices are some of the most educated, most experienced and loyal people to their country. We need loyalty, expertise, education, and subservience to the people. The word civil servant means civil, that you are civil to the people that you serve. And you are servant.
I'm smiling because we know that's not always the case.
The servant means that you are humble
Yeah,
to the people who have elected you.
Yeah.
I can't see many politicians who are civil
Yeah.
or servant to me and you who vote for them and pay their wages and pay for their some of the most stupid projects where we lose billions and billions, right? And there's no accountability.
Yeah.
This nonsense has got to stop.
Yeah.
And it stops with me and you being vocal.
About it.
Not being, negatively critical for sake of being critical and being egotistic.
Shine a light on it,
shine a light.
Yeah.
And you know what? When you do that, I say to people, criticize me and my strategy as much as you want. But you know what? If you haven't got a plan B and it doesn't make sense, just shut your mouth and just sit there and take the orders.
Take the orders,
Yeah.
So
that's all I say. And, a lot of people say to me, Amjad, you need to take it easy. You know what? No, it's my city. Yeah. This city has given me everything I have. My family, everything it has. Yeah. And the people who are going to damage it or try to damage it are not my friends. And I'll do whatever it takes. Yeah. Whether it's through media where I have contacts or some other way, I will go and get them. Yeah, for the benefit of the people and my family and this city. And I think if more people did that, Pete.
Yeah, it would be a better place, right?
It'll be a better place. It is a better place, but we need to make it magical.
Yeah, we do. And
I don't want people going to Dubai and, Riyadh and, Beijing and coming back and saying, oh my God, we're living in the third world.
Yeah.
Which when I travel and come back, I feel.
No, I'm with you. I went to Chicago in September and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you go to Beijing and come back, or Tianjin, right? If you go to Riyadh, or Jeddah, right? You go to Qatar and come back, you're gonna think, oh my God, we're in the third world.
Yeah. We've got some work to do.
Yeah, and those are not democracies.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing life, family, business, worldview, which is really, really important. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the next, what do we need? At least 40 years, because you're going to have to tap your dad, won't you? 104.
Yeah.
So. Thank you, Amjad.
I'm out again in April.
Yes.
We're doing the World Startup Championship in Pakistan. We're moving it to Pakistan from Dubai. Can you imagine that?
Amazing.
And then I want to bring it to Bradford.
Yeah, well, I'll do anything.
No, I'm working with James. I'm going to be having a chat. James, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, he does. I'll text him later. But no, thank you, Amjad. You're very inspirational, and we're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.